All right, so we are live and back. I apologize. I am going to have to get a backdrop eventually so that you guys don't see my creepy basement, but this is where my wife puts me, and you don't argue with her. Happy wife equals happy life. So,
That is for
um,
sure.
oh, speaking of that, I apologize for us not being here last week. I completely forgot, but last Tuesday was Valentine's Day. You would think that I did something for my wife, but I did not. We went and saw Lego Batman with our two boys, and it was pretty good. I actually had higher expectations, and it didn't meet those, but um, it wasn't a horrible movie. So
Well, it's better than talking golf with me on Valentine's Day, I'm sure.
yeah, I do have to admit that that's probably true.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm returning with me is Kevin Cotillo from Falafel House, and yeah, we're gonna break down this week's PGA at the Honda Classic, and just briefly touch base on the Genesis Open because I personally did not play. I took the whole week off with NBA being on the All Star break. I just wanted to not even think about fantasy for a week. Shocking.
It's a good one to decompress with. I mean, a lot of big names, but not one of my favorite tournaments. Riviera is a good course and all, but I don't know. Just it seems like it's a little bit of a letdown in between these two great courses. The one we talked about, the week before at Scottsdale, and then this one is PGA National. Is one of my favorite courses that we'll get to soon with the Honda. So I can't blame you for taking the Genesis Open week off.
Yeah, and I probably would have been screwed because I probably would have put Matsuyama in some of my lineups, and he missed the cut. So that
Yeah, yeah,
I'm wondering how many lineups he killed this week.
probably a lot.
Yeah. So I had I looked at it a little bit. I was out of town for the weekend, so I wasn't able to watch any golf at all. Not that I really would have probably anyway. I admitted it the last time we were on. I don't really watch golf. I just kind of look at numbers, break it down, and then play who I think is going to win me some cash. Um, Dustin Johnson finally got the win. I mean, that was kind of the big thing. He got that off his back. He's been top six for the last couple of years or something, and then finally
Yeah.
finally broke through. And he tried to choke. I think he shot a 71. I saw on the last day, and but still finished minus 17. So
Yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
turned this tournament on Sunday morning to sort of check in. I was kind of busy most of the weekend as well, so I wasn't watching it as closely as I typically do. And he had a 7-stroke lead, I think, to pretty much start the day on Sunday. So he was just running away with it. So you didn't miss a ton. He did, come back to the field a little bit, but still wins by 5 strokes. So
yeah, not too shabby.
no.
Um, so I heard weather played a big factor in it, though. What, Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, a lot of delays, a lot of wind, a lot of rain. It was rough. It was a rough one out there. That's for sure.
And then the only other notes I had on this, Arnold Palmer's grandson, Sam Saunders, shot a 64 and then just kind of fell off. I didn't even know his grandson was playing golf, but that's kind of cool. Hopefully, he can do better, more consistently. I saw he ended up tied for 49th.
Yeah, it hasn't been a great. He hasn't set the world on fire yet. He's a talented young player. We'll see. We'll see what happens with him. Couple of notes for me on this one. Like I said, Dustin Johnson was obviously incredible in this one. He's going to move to the world number one world ranking. So that's pretty interesting from that standpoint. Solid play from some of the top names in the tournament. You got Justin Rose, Adam Scott, and Jimmy Walker all finishing up towards the top. I would say with Jimmy Walker, as we move away from the West Coast, you sort of start to see him dip a little bit. So keep your eye on him and what he does in these next few tournaments as the year moves on, and when you're looking at him as a player, because he's still going to be valued pretty high as far as salary. So he's a guy that I sort of fade a little bit going forward into this Florida swing. And then overall, just the guys with the longer drives fared well in this one. You saw the, obviously with Dustin who can hit the ball a mile, but accuracy just really wasn't as important in this one. Going to be a little different this week when we get into the Honda. So, not too much from that tournament to take away into this one because they're such different courses and they play different. Although the weather will be a factor in the Honda Classic as well. So that's something to get, at least they're a little prepared for.
Yes. So speaking of weather, I wrote down here, as of right now, we got rain Wednesday leading into the tournament, possibly some on Thursday afternoon. And then even if it's not raining, they're calling for high winds possibly Thursday and Sunday. So I think your scrambling is going to be a big factor. And, anyone who's consistently able to play through the wind is going to have a shot at this one.
Yeah, so PGA National, I've actually played this course. It's such a beautiful course. It's one of the most amazing courses on tour. It's the start of the Florida swing, and it's probably, outside of the major tournaments, the Masters at Augusta and all the others, it's probably the hardest course on tour, in my opinion. It's got the bear trap, which everyone knows, holes 15 through 17 is known as one of the hardest 3-hole stretches in golf. It's actually the third toughest 3-hole stretch over the last 10 years with an average of 2.781 over par for the field. So when you're talking about professional golfers shooting closer to 3 shots over par in a 3-hole stretch, that's pretty bad. So you can get goes to show you how tough that stretch is. And then holes 5 through 7 is kind of overlooked because of how bad the bear trap is. But that's actually ranks as the 4th hardest 3-hole stretch over that same time period. So you got a lot of tough holes on this one, and the wind plays a huge factor. 4 of the par 4s ranked in the top 20th of the hardest holes on tour. 14, 11, 6, and 10 are all those holes, those par 4s. So par 4 scoring is huge in this one. So if you can get birdies on par 4, that's going to be big. Bogey avoidance in general is a big one. And like you said, scrambling is a huge one. And then when you talk about, the wind at PGA National, like you said, Sunday and Thursday are going to be heavy wind days. Probably, it's a heavy wind course no matter what. So, but when you're talking heavy wind here, it's 30-mile-per-hour range. So that's going to be pretty bad. It makes it play almost like a European event where you have to keep the ball low, and that's really not what we see with these guys lately. These days, these big hitters hit the ball very high in the air. So, you sort of almost look to the Europeans to kind of play a little better than the Americans in this one, even though it's an American course, obviously. But they need to keep the ball in play, and you need to see the other stat that I'm going to look at a lot is the approach accuracy over 200 yards, because with the wind, you're going to see a lot of knockdown drives. You're going to see a lot of shorter drives, guys keeping it low to keep it really in play, as opposed to spraying it all over the place and really just loading up and going after it. So you're going to see a lot of shots over 200 yards in this one on those par 4s that are longer and those difficult par 4s where the drives come up short because of the wind or because guys were playing it low. So the approach shots over 200 is going to be a big one in this one.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you mentioned that. I don't have very many Europeans, I don't think, on my list, but I do have to agree with you. And to piggyback on the toughness of this course, so in 2016, it was ranked the 5th toughest course, and 2015, it was ranked 4th. So yeah, it's definitely up there as one of the harder courses to play. And I personally, and it's cool that you've played that. I was looking at the breakdown of the holes, and there is a lot of water. I probably would lose at least 2 balls.
I did. Oh yeah, no question about it. But believe me, it was a work event that I got to play there, and it was great. I mean, didn't have to pay for anything. It was great, but which was very good because of all the balls that I lost. Yeah, the course itself has 26 water hazards and 78 sand bunkers. So there's a lot of trouble out there.
All right. I don't have any other notes really to say about the course itself. You covered everything I had. So um, I guess, I do have one thing is from what I was reading is that it's important to get off to a good start on the front nine because, like you were saying with that bear trap, the back nine is brutal. Um, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you said it's 15, 16, and 17 for the bear trap.
Correct.
It's two par threes and then a par four in the middle, right?
Yeah, which is it's just so hard to gain shots on those three holes, and that's why they're so far above anything else. It's all water. They're. I mean, it's gorgeous. I mean, the course itself, those three holes are amazing, and the design is phenomenal. But yeah, it's brutal, and you're not catching anyone there. So when it's pretty incredible to see them come down the stretch on those holes. On a Sunday if it's close because those three can change the fates of golfers so much. So it's definitely a fun one to watch. It's one of the ones that, one of the reasons why I say the Genesis is kind of a letdown because, we talked about Scottsdale where you have the big crowds and it's the rowdy crowds and all of that. And that's a lot of fun. And then there's the Genesis, which is a great tournament, and then there's, the Bear Trap, which is an iconic course. So I guess it's just, if you're going to miss one, the Genesis is the one to miss. So.
Well, it sounds like I took off on the right week then.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, like we did last week, we're gonna kind of break this down by salary range. Kind of talk about the top guys, work our way down into the middle, and then maybe list off a couple guys we might like in the bottom price range, and then if we have time, we can try to do another lineup. I think we will. It really didn't take more than a couple minutes for us to do it last time. So let's look at the top price guys. I don't even really have to pull up pricing, but I'm going to throw out the top four guys, the guys that are above or in the double-digit range. Adam Scott at 12-2 leads the way. He's the defending champ. Ricky Fowler below him at 11-9, Justin Thomas at 11-8, and Sergio Garcia at 10-9. What are you doing with these top four guys?
Me, when we talked last time, I'm not usually one of the big price guys, but in this one, I'm actually going with Justin Thomas. We talked about it last time. I don't typically go with the guy who won it last year. You can get burned, obviously, if you don't. But for me, I just it's so hard to win a golf tournament. And I know I said this last time, but it's so hard to win a golf tournament, and it's even harder to win it back-to-back years. So for me, Adam Scott at 12-2, I just can't do it. He's got, but Justin Thomas, on the other hand, coming off, he's got 101 fantasy points per game, or per round, or I should say per game, basically. So he's won 2 of his last 4 starts. He finished tied for 3rd here last year. So he comes in, he checks just about every box that we just talked about as far as scoring. Comes in 9th in bogey avoidance. He's 22nd in scrambling. He's 1st in par 4 scoring, 8th in approaches over 200 yards in this one. So literally everywhere across the board in the stats that I'm looking at, he's up there. Top, what did I just say? Top 22 in all of them. So, and 1st in par 4 scoring. So, he's priced high, but at 11,800, but I just think that he's going to be worth it. When you check that many boxes and you're playing as well as he has this year, he's a guy that I can't avoid.
Yeah, I think he comes in at a little bit of a discount because he had that missed cut a couple weeks ago. But he bounced back after that and tied for 39th last week. Finished the weekend off with a 68 on the last day. So, he's obviously playing well, and I could definitely see using him. As we talked last time, I did not play Jordan Spieth in any of my lineups, and we said if you're gonna play him, you're playing him as he's gonna win. Well, turns out he did, and if I had him in any of my lineups, I would have actually won more money. Instead, I think I walked away with minus $10, which wasn't bad for how much I invested. You know,
Yeah, the other guy, I'm looking at here in this range is still. I'm not playing him. I probably won't play both of them, obviously, because it really hurts hamstrings across the board. But Sergio Garcia finished second here last year, so he's another guy. He was just one stroke off the lead last year, so he's another guy I would look to potentially start in this one. He's tied for 46th in par four scoring, 17th in bogey avoidance, 43 in scrambling, and 17th in approach shots over 200 yards. So he's top 50 in all those categories. Plus, he's fourth in ball striking, which is another one that you kind of want to look at this year or this week. And so not to mention he hasn't missed a cut this year, and he's just a solid play in general. So he's another guy that I would look at in that top price range.
Yeah, I'm probably like you. I probably won't touch Adam Scott. I know he's playing well. Again, just like Spieth, if you're going to play him, you're going to expect him to win the back-to-back defending tournament champion. Like you said, it throws me off. It's very difficult to choose that person. Ricky Fowler, though, I do like for GPP tournaments only. He took fourth the last time in the last tournament he was in at Waste Management. He's got 2 top 10 finishes here and a top 15. So I don't trust him enough to play him in cash, but I have no problem throwing him out there for GPP tournaments if you want to do more of a studs and scrubs type lineup. So like you, though, I don't know if I'm playing any of those guys, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when we talk about the guys you're going to have to, we'll get into them later, but I do think you can go one top, and the way I set up one of my lineups so far this week is I think you can go one top guy, and then you can still find some decent medium guys, and then, you go one low. So it's not quite a studs and studs for me, but it's sort of that in-between hybrid, right? Where I have one top guy, one low guy, and then fill it out with some middles.
Yeah, there's definitely some value that we'll discuss later. All right, so let's move down into the next range, and it's kind of actually with the top range, but let's just go the rest of the guys who are up there down to 8,500. And I'll kick it off with the guy that I like most, and I'm probably going to use him only in cash. His upside, I don't know, is there enough for me to use based on his salary for tournaments, but I think he's going to be kind of a chalky play, and that's Russell Knox. Right, he's 3 for 3 in cuts here. He's got 2 top 3 finishes and 3 starts, and his worst performance is tied for 26th. Again, I don't think I like his upside enough for tournaments, but I will definitely use him for cash. He checks the box for me for driving accuracy, so I think if you can find the fairways here, you definitely will have a better chance. Trying to see, and then there's a couple other guys I like, but I'll let you throw one in there.
Well, I actually had him in my lineup as well. In 9,000 is a little pricey, and I get why you wouldn't want to use him, but but he does. He's 7th in ball striking, 5th in birdie average, and top 25 in par 3, 4, and 5 scoring. So he checks the boxes for me enough to put him in there. And like I said, when you go one high and you can go with a Knox and then a couple of medium guys and sort of still fill out a decent roster. So he was a guy I was looking at. The other guys in that range, I don't love any of them. We talked about, I guess he's a little bit below that range, Jimmy Walker, and with good reason. Louis Oosthuizen's a guy that scores pretty well and plays this tournament fairly well. So he's a guy, he's 3 for 3 in cuts made this year, I think, and overall playing good golf. So he's a guy you could consider here. I think Knox is probably a better play at 9,000 than Oosthuizen is at 9,400, or even Zach Johnson for that matter at 9,700. I would just stick with Knox. from this group. I don't really love any of the other guys myself.
So I'm just going to throw it out there real quick as a warning. I know this is Tuesday night that we're recording this. But good old Louis has withdrawn twice from this tournament. So just got to make sure you pay attention before you just lock those lineups in.
Good point. Great point.
All right. So one of the other guys that I like in this range, actually looking at pricing, there's actually two. Berger is one of them. This is his home course. He's from Jupiter. Granted, like half the field is from that area, so it's kind of hard to claim that it's a home course. PGA Village, man. I have family that has housing down there, and it's amazing how cheap golf is during the off season.
Yep.
The other notes I have though here, so he's coming off tied for 7th at the Waste Management. He was 2nd here in 2015. And I don't have where he is, but I have here that he checks my box for strokes gained off the tee. And then the other guy who falls in that category, and this guy is actually one of the European guys one of the only ones that I have on here. And this is going to be the first time he's played here, is Tyrrell Hatton. I think I'm more of a GPP play on this just because he doesn't have any course history for me to go off of. But he's got, let's see, he's coming off of a 3rd place finish and a 13th place finish on the Euro Tour. He's top 5 in scrambling in the European, I don't even know what you call it, league. So again, I don't know if I trust him in cash just because we don't have anything to go off of for this course. But like you were saying, those Europeans might have a little bit of an advantage with the type of play that might have to come to work here this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that definitely makes a huge difference. And those guys, they really do have a little bit of an advantage. So, yeah, I can't argue with it. It's a decent play there.
It might help if I unmute my microphone. Okay. For those of you at home, I'm trying to mute my microphone when Kevin speaks because I had some people say that it was a little distracting as I was breathing into my microphone. It would switch back and forth. So I'm trying to do my best and make sure that doesn't happen. All right, so let's go into the next range of guys. Let's go 8,400 all the way down to 7,000. Let me know who you like here while I put together who I like.
All right, so I have 3 guys in this range that I like, and one of them is actually playing here for the first time, but he's been very, very successful as of late. Danny Willett. I don't know. It's kind of more a hunch than anything else, right? He's playing here for the first time, so there's no course history, but his overall game should be should play pretty well here. And I could see him gearing up for a tournament he's never really played for. Sometimes, it's almost like they've never played, so they don't have that. They're not afraid of it. If that makes any sense, almost. So, he's obviously, he's a guy that he's played really well lately. I'm trying to find his stats as I'm talking, and it's not really going well. So
these damn computers.
Yeah, no kidding, huh? It's terrible when that happens. So bear with me for a second here. So yeah, so 3 of 4 cuts made. Overall, his fantasy points haven't been very good. But he's coming off his last tournament was a tied for 5th at the Maybank Championship, which is obviously a European tour. He plays a lot on the European tour, obviously being from there. Expect him to play really well. And I don't know why. Honestly, it's just a hunch with him. It really is just a hunch. I just see him coming in. He's got a good putting average. He's decent around the greens. Some of his definitely makes cuts, which is great, right? I mean, that's something you want. I just think he'll be around on the weekend. He'll be a guy that you can look to really play and get some extra points down the stretch. So, and he may not be afraid of the bear trap as much as some of the guys that have, been crushed by it before. So, another guy in this range, Kevin Kisner at 7,700. He's currently scoring 93.5 fantasy points per game. He's never missed a cut here. He's got top 10s in two of his last three starts this year. Third in approach from over 200, second in shots gained on approach, and top 50 in ball striking. So he checks a lot of the boxes, and at 7,700, I think he's a pretty good play. And then the other guy who's been sneaky good and another European who I think will play really well in this is Luke Donald. 7,600. He's still not getting the respect he deserves, I think, from a cash standpoint on DraftKings or salary, because he's played really well, and overall, he's just a consistent scorer. He has consecutive top 25s. He's never missed a cut in 6 appearances at PGA National. He's got 4 top 10s in his last 5 starts there. He's just putting out of his mind right now. He's 6th in short putting, 35th. 6th in short putting. So just, overall, and he's 21st on par threes right now. So that's pretty good. And of course that the par threes can be really challenging. So those are the 3 guys that I'm looking for in this range. He's at 7,600, by the way. So all right in that same area, 78, 77, and 7,600. So those are the 3 guys that I'm looking at.
So I had Kisner in there, so I will go on to the other guys that I liked. I said I didn't have very many European guys, but here's another one that I had listed here, and that's Rafael Cabrera Bello.
Hello,
yeah. So on a European tour, right? So his last finish was tied for 34th, tied for 11th, tied for 6th, tied for 19th, and looking at the DK prices over there. And before that he was second. He's one of the top guys on that tour, and he is making his debut, like we talked about. I don't know. Golf is a mental game, so I don't know if not playing the bear trap is an advantage, if it's a disadvantage. Like you said, if you've struggled there, that might get in your head and you might just completely choke once you hit those holes. But this guy's one of the best in the world. He hasn't missed a cut since last year's Players. He was runner-up, and he's got 4 other top 25s in his last 5 starts. I feel like $8,000 for him is a huge discount based on what he's doing on the European tour. And these guys are trying to get ready for the Masters. So, I definitely think he's in play for me. The other guy that I had listed here was good old Jason Duffner. He is, what price is he? He's in the 7,000 range. I don't see him here. There he is, 7,500.
Yeah.
He's never missed a cut here. He's I can't read my handwriting because it says he's second in fairway shit. Yeah. So,
I'm gonna say shot is probably what you're going for there.
Probably. And he's tied for 14th in greens regulation. So I think, like you were saying earlier, if you can get a guy who's going to be there, all weekend, that's definitely going to be to your advantage. He's got 2 top 25 finishes so far this year. You did miss the cut at the Sony Open, but I just think that he's worth a look here. And then finally, my last guy, actually, I do need to make mention, and I know I've heard some people say that they're going to be off of him just because they feel like he's going to regress at some point. But Brendan Steele is going to be a cash game guy for me again. I will not use him in tournaments. He's going to be chalky, just like some of the top guys are. But the guy is just playing out of his mind right now. He's perfect at making the cut here over his last 6 tries. And he's been in the top 15 in the last 2 years. So, yeah, he's on fire for me for consistency. He's probably not going to win the tournament, but I think he's going to do enough for what I need for my cash lineups. And then the last guy, and I'm going to need your help with this one. Ali Schneiderjens.
Yeah, I couldn't even help you with that one. Schneiderjens, I think is Schneiderjens is what I would go with, but I'm not even sure, to be honest with you. He's a relative newbie for me as well.
Yeah, so he is a rookie. And let's see. So he's got 2 top 10s already this year. He's made the cut in the last 6 his last 6 events. He's golfed par or better in the last 24 rounds, which to me right there is going to be important, especially if the wind is going to be a factor. And he's not new to the course. He's new to the course on the PGA Tour, but he did win here as the Polo Golf Junior Classic in 2009. So he's definitely played here. I know it's changed since then. I know Jack Nicklaus has made some changes to it since then, but I think he'll be fine. He's been very consistent with let's see, he finished tied for 8th in the Genesis, tied for 24th in Waste Management, tied for 9th in the Farmers, made the cut in the Career Builders at 58th, and was 27th in the Sony Open. So again, one of those guys that, he's 5 for 5 cuts this year. Just very consistent, and I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah, so one interesting note that I do have about Ollie here is that he has one of the lowest ball flights on tour, and as we've talked about with the wind, that's what you need here. So that's a great ball flight to play in this particular course and in this tournament. So I can't argue with you on the Ollie Schneiderjens is what we're going to go with on this one.
All right. Okay, so I did not have very many guys that I liked under 7,000. I'm just going to kind of list off some guys that I think are worth taking a look at for just the chance of, hey, I can throw them in a GPP lineup and they could hit. I'm just going to list them off real quick, and then I'll let you go over any that you might have. So I did say under 7,000. One guy that I liked at 7,000 was Jeff Overton. This is going to be his first tournament. And he's coming off a wrist and some back injuries, but he's tied for 28 or better here in 4 of his last 6 appearances, and he's coming off last year where he was tied for 21st. Again, it's just kind of one of those dart throws, like kind of what you need for GPP lineups. If you're going to hit top cash. And then the other guys I just going to throw out there again, Tim Wilkinson, 4 for 4 for his cuts here. John Huh is 4 for 5 of his cuts here. I like throwing the dart throw at Patty Harrington. He's a 2-time winner here. He's coming off of a tied for 39th at the Genesis. And Michael Kim, again, a guy who's been dealing with some injuries, but he's 4 for 5 here in all of his cuts. So, yeah, that does it for me.
Yeah, I only had one in this range, and like I said, it's because of the way that I'm building most of my lineups with a lot of with middle range guys to sort of try and extend my odds of having guys that'll be there at for all 4 days. But John Ha, who you mentioned, is the guy that I like at 6,800. sort of a shot in the dark, but he's 33rd in bogey avoidance, 23rd in scrambling, and 46th in par four scoring. So he checks, checks in at top 50 in three of the biggest categories that I was looking at this week. So he's the guy that I have in my lineup from that range. As far as that, I think the other guys that you mentioned are definitely ones to watch. And anyone else, to me, they're dart throws down there at this point. So I can't argue with any of the guys you picked. Any past winners are for sure guys that you want to look at. And then, anyone that's been playing okay recently is really all you're going for down there. I think with the way this course bites back, it's just hard to pick the lower guys. And sadly, those are the ones that are probably going to win you your tournaments. But, I think they're going to be spread across the field on this one. So,
yeah, that's why I typically stick to my cash games. I like to throw a couple GPP lineups out there, but I'll be playing mostly cash and playing more of that balanced lineup. All right, so we should have just enough time to do a quick lineup. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Bear with me. And as I say this, the plug to my television that I have hooked up to my laptop decided to just fall out for no reason. So I'm struggling here as I'm looking blindly at my little itty bitty screen. And I am blind, by the way. I don't wear glasses. I wear contacts. But if I didn't have them in, I could not see a couple inches in front of my face. Okay, so it should be showing my screen now. Just like last week, we're just going to go back and forth and let you go first, and we'll just throw a lineup together.
All right, so I'm going to go against your avoidance of the top guys, and I am still going to go with Justin Thomas because I think he's got a chance of winning this tournament. So he's the guy I'm going with.
I'm okay with it. I am. I think any of those top four guys, it's hard to argue. Since you went with him, I'm not going to go with Knox because I think it's a little bit too pricey. You know what? We're going to throw in Steele at 8,100. No, I take that back. We're going one below. We're going to go with Cabrera Bello.
There you go. I like it. I will throw Luke Donald in there.
Oh, you know what? I had him listed on my thing as a possible guy to talk about. All right, leaves us 7,500. You know what? Right above him, we're going to go with Ali, and we're going to change his name to Shenanigans. Ali Shenanigans.
Ali Shenanigans. There we go. I'm on board. I like it.
All right, so we're averaging 7,500. We got plenty to play with here.
Plenty to play with. Let me see here. Who's a guy? Oh man. I'm going to go a little over and kind of handcuff you and say, give me Kisner on this one.
All right. Kisner's at 77. All right. So we're at 7,300. Let's see what we got in that range. I'm probably going to leave some money on the table. Johnny Vegas is coming off a pretty nice finish. Didn't look at his numbers though for this tournament. You know what? We'll just go with Overton. Give him a shot here, and I would not play this in cash. Yeah, with Cabrera Bello playing his first time here. Shenanigans, not really his first time, but being a rookie, and Overton making his debut. I don't know if I would consider this in cash, but I definitely think it looks good for a GPP tournament.
I agree. I like it.
All right, so I'm going to save that and make sure I play it so we can at least track it. Probably just throw $1 on it I'll throw $1 on it, and then I'll tweak it a little bit for my own purposes later.
There you go.
All right, and I also, as I mentioned last week, for anyone who's new to this podcast, what I also like to do, especially for my cash lineups, is to look at the PGA odds. I like to make sure that I have guys who at least have a 50-1 odds. And looking at it here, let's see. Well, Justin Thomas obviously is up there. He's 15-1. Let's see. Brandon Steele's 30-1. Kisner's 40-1. Cabrera Bello's 60-1, but that's probably just because he's never played here. Shenanigans is 60-1. It's probably because he's a rookie. So again, that's probably why I wouldn't play it in cash, but Vegas isn't always right. So if you're gonna put a lineup together, it's not a bad one. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and for some reason my camera turned off. Okay, technical difficulties. All right, I'm back. All right, well, that does it. Unless you got anything to add.
No, that was good. I enjoyed it. This is again a great tournament to watch. I know you don't watch a lot of golf, but I definitely check out at least check out the end on Sunday. You know, if you have some time, you know, between 4 and 6 on Sunday, check out the end because you'll see a lot of the 15 through 17, and it'll be a good time. You'll see a lot of balls in the water. It'll make you feel better about yourself as a golfer.
It likely will be on. It's actually on in my house often. My father-in-law is here a lot, and he watches golf constantly. He'll even record PGA on my TV and watch it when he's bored. But I will definitely try to make an effort on at least watching a couple holes.
At least watch some even just one player on the bear trap. At least that's all you got to do.
Okay.
3 holes. 3 holes of golf.
And then we can discuss it next Tuesday.
That's right.
All right. So that's it for golf. I want to just throw it out there real quick. House Money Fantasy is looking into a couple new things that we're hoping to add to the website shortly. Don't want to go into too much details because I didn't discuss this with my partners before I started this, but yeah, just keep a lookout for some new and fun, exciting things that we're in discussion on what we're going to be adding. And then, yeah, Kevin, you got anything, just some final words? Make sure to throw out some Falafel House.
Yeah, if you want to check out my stuff, mostly, you know, I would say this is the only place they let me talk about golf, but we got plenty of fantasy football stuff going on in Falafel. You can check us out, Falafel House, at Falafel House on Twitter. I'm at Wally Central, falafelhouse.com. You can go and check out the website. We got links to stuff up there. There's not a lot going on, but the podcast will be out every week. We're going to be doing it weekly for a while. You can get it on iTunes, Stitcher, whatever. Just look us up on Twitter and you'll find it. It's been fun. We're talking a lot of Dynasty right now, so that's good stuff.
That'll be good for me to steal all your knowledge and
that's right.
Use that for some of my upcoming drafts.
That's right.
All right, yeah. So take it easy and peace out.
All right.